Welcome back, Mr. Tim. We have our May review. I appreciate your time, man. You're feeling a little under the weather, so we appreciate you being a strong, brave lender here today.
Residual effects from Moderna #2.
You know what? I think
Was it?
honestly, I think people are going to start from now on. I think it's going to be a mask. I think anytime people feel sick, I think from now on, people are just going to wear masks. Like when they got the flu or got the cold, I think they're going to start showing up to work with a mask. Kids are going to start going to school with a mask. I think it's just going to be a thing.
It's what we should have been doing for years. If you feel sick, you should have been wearing a mask for years and years and years. You should have been using hand sanitizer. You should have been washing your hands. But we never had anything so serious as we did last year. So and maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, they have such an array of colorful masks now too. You can have all of your, it's like bumper stickers for your face, right? You put those bumper stickers
Yeah.
on your car, and now you can just wear a mask. Same idea. People can have some
Live
fun.
local. A live local mask.
That's where we don't have those yet. We'll work on those.
Yet.
Yeah.
Jot that down.
Yeah. Duly noted. And then today, you're in the office. I'm outside today, man. The weather is like finally nice and it's sunny, so I'm doing the outside gig here at home.
I wish I could. I might go home this afternoon and do the same, sit out on my back porch because, we pine for this October, November time frame through March. We can't wait for the warm weather, and then we barricade ourselves in the office like I am right now. If you notice, I don't have any windows.
No.
I can't even enjoy the view of good weather in this office, so I might head home in the afternoon.
I think you should just do a little mural of a sunshine or sunset in the back somewhere in there.
You don't want me to draw anything, trust me.
No. Yeah, well, Lucas can do it. I mean, he'll be fine. He's got skills. All right, cool. Let's get into it. So today, our first topic is probably the most important part is our forbearances for people. We're seeing fewer and fewer and a little bit of decline, but we're definitely feeling the residuals of people that didn't do their homework and didn't know what that forbearance meant. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing as far as people refining, trying to make purchases on things, and how that forbearance is kind of kicking them in the butt?
Yeah, the couple instances that I've had recently where somebody revealed that they had a balance. So essentially, they skipped, let's just say, 6 payments, and maybe that accrued $7,000 to $9,000, whatever it is, in a past due. The mortgage servicer basically took that and attached it as a second mortgage, a second lien. It's a silent second, so you don't actually make payments on there. It's just sitting there attached to your property. So what that did for me, both of them were refinance scenarios. When you pay off 2 mortgage loans, it's considered a cash out refinance, unless that second mortgage was taken out as a purchase money. Like sometimes people will do a home equity line at the time of purchasing to avoid PMI or to get above the conforming loan limit. That's a no cash out. That's a rate and term. But other than that, if you're paying off 2 mortgages as a cash out refinance, the specs for that are completely different. You have to have more equity. The rate is slightly higher. So in one instance, she knew about it and she revealed it up front. So we knew it was going to be a cash out. In the second instance, the person had no idea that this large balance was just sitting there. And the servicer really didn't reveal to them at the time that they went into forbearance that it would reflect this way. So she had no idea. And we told her that it came back on the payoff. So we had to flip from a rate and term refinance to a cash out. It ended up being fine. They said, you know what, we have some equity. Let's just go ahead and, since it's a cash out, let's go ahead and take some more cash for home improvements. But I would, especially if you've been through the forbearance conversation with your mortgage servicer, give them a call and make sure you understand where that money went. Is it a second mortgage, a second lien on your property? Did they tack it onto the back end of your balance, kind of like a loan modification, or are they going to ask for you to pay that in a lump sum when the forborn period is over? That's a huge fear, because who has $9,000 just to stroke a check after you just were in forbearance? So make sure you understand, if you've been through that conversation, how is this going to reflect on your mortgage?
That's good. And people have to. Now's the time that we're all getting back into a normalish and go back and do your finances, get everything in order. You probably just did taxes. Now's a good time to do just your own personal budget audit and see where you're at with everything. It's a good idea.
Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned it briefly, the cash out ideas. You're getting into a few people now that want to do a few things with their house. They've been there for 5 years, 6 years. Now it's time to do like a garage or do a whatever. and they have a ton of equity in their house now because the rates are going up, and you're starting to do a few of those as well. How do those look?
Yeah. So, if you have plans to do some home improvement projects, or if you have some other debts that are higher interest, you have, student loans or credit card debt or what have you, the one thing that you can probably bank on is the fact that your home has some equity. Now, how much is, that remains to be seen. You can reach out to your realtor. They can run comps for you. I can do some research on my end, but pretty much everybody, because this market has appreciated so much, a lot of people have equity, and it's an opportunity for you to, the fear is, I don't want to lump all my debt into my mortgage. It's a step back in my equity position. Well, otherwise, you might actually just continue to sputter on paying the minimums on credit cards, or you might be paying 8% on a student loan. It is a temporary step back and a higher mortgage amount to accrue, you know, basically take a step forward in the future in terms of wealth, or free up some money so that you can invest. There are a lot of options with cash out refinances right now, and I have some systems that are really cool that will allow me to say, this is where your total financial picture will be in 5 years if you eliminate these two debts, especially since we expect the market to continue to appreciate. You might do a cash out refi, your home value continues to escalate from the time you refinance. So it's a huge opportunity. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love to kind of show you how those scenarios would break down, and you can get yourself ahead with it.
Awesome. It's turning out to be a financial planning kind of scenario for ourselves here, using your home as a tool to make sure you get your finances and your future in order, which is kind of what it is. I mean, it's a place you stay and you can grow family and memories, but it's also a great tool.
Now, 2006, 7, 8, when we had the housing bubble, and people were taking cash out of their houses constantly, and that was, it was almost predatory lending where the loan officers would really go after those cash out refinances. The difference is, back then, you would go to 100% of the value of property. So, if the appraisal came in at 500,000 and you borrowed 500,000 and you paid off all your debt and you bought a boat and that kind of thing, then your property then went down in value. Now you're underwater.
Yep.
Things changed. Now we can only do a cash out up to 80% of the value of that home. So even if your property did end up going down in value a few years afterwards, you're not to the point where you're underwater. That's the main concern. Why would I do a cash out refinance? That's what got us in trouble before. But we're very much more conservative nowadays.
That's good. Protecting the people. Awesome. So we've also had, speaking of our finances, we're going to look at our rates. Rates have kind of jumped a little bit, monitor a little bit. They seem to be hovering around the threes. And then every time something happens, like a new stimulus check pops up or inflation, it ups and downs, but we're still hanging out around the threes. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, right around 3%. If you tick up a little bit on a conventional purchase, you can still get into the twos for government loans, USDA and VA. So rates are still fantastic. It's funny when we were in that really that basement of interest rates, low twos and things of that sort. Now we're at 3. People are a little bit jaded by that, but just think back a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
these rates are fantastic. They really
are. My first house was like 5.6, and that was pretty good. That was good at the time. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Right. So rates are good. There was a little bit of a tick, as you mentioned, when we got inflation reports, and I feel like I'm a broken record talking about inflation, but it's a big deal when the government is pumping money into the market. The value of the dollar then goes down because there's free money given out. So inflation is a big deal. Then it's funny that there's a roller coaster effect sometimes. The inflation numbers come out. That report is terrible. We have a bad day in the market. And then the 2 days later, like this week, there are some other reports that come out that will then say, you know what, things are looking in the opposite direction. Then rates get a little bit better again. So it's one of these things. And that's why I don't like to play the float game. If you have an opportunity to lock a rate that you like, let's just go ahead and lock it in, because I don't want it to go in the opposite direction when we're trying to be greedy to try to gain a little bit more traction and try to get a lower rate.
Like 0.01 or point, you're not saving much. Just do it and get yourself in.
Right.
You and I talked about this a little bit. We have low inventory still a little bit. The rates are low. And honestly, this little chunk of May seems to be like this lull. Like business seems to kind of take a pause. And it just so happens to be something like around graduation, school ending time. And I don't know what it is. I guess everybody's just trying to get all their ducks in a row, get all the kids all squared up and lined up and graduated, or report cards in, and then they make their summer plans. It just feels that way. I don't know if you're kind of the same. You gotta get that
Yeah.
little May break.
Historically, I kind of look back at my previous years. There's, we have a spike when spring hits, that March time frame,
Yeah.
in April, and then maybe a little bit of a lull in May, and then it's back up in June. And it's hard to describe why we have these big spikes in business throughout these months. But I think it does make sense what you said is, and what we were saying before started recording here is Memorial Day. Maybe that's that hump that people say, I want to get over. Okay, let's get past Memorial Day, because then I feel like I have that 3-month period where we can either sell and buy or get out and start looking and that kind of thing. Especially teachers, people with kids and schools and that. So maybe Memorial Day is the trigger. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Oh, and even recently we've had sellers that have been doing things like listing their house as they go on vacation, so they won't have to be in the house. That way, getting access. So if you have like a 2 or 3 day span where you're going to like Myrtle Beach or something, you list it on that Friday, you get as many showings as you can, collect up all the offers, and when you get back on Tuesday, go over them all. It's
Yeah.
safe because you're not in the house, like people in and out all the time and that stuff, with people still a little worried about germs and inconvenience. It's hard getting in and out and people calling, and you'll get a flurry of showings too, which is not as convenient. So that might be
Yeah.
something that people that are thinking about selling this year, maybe time it based on your
Time it
vacation
on vacation.
schedule.
I like that. I think that's a great idea. I mean, the ideal scenario is you would, try to buy something and then be able to show a vacant house, and you don't have to worry about the
Yeah.
minute. But people don't have maybe the financial flexibility to do that, to make non-contingent offers. So I get having to put your house on the market first. And yeah, if you're out of town for it, then they can come 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. if they had to.
Just do it all day long and buy your best bet. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're seeing a lot of rent backs and stuff still. So if you sell your house quickly and you haven't found the next one, there's first right to find home of your choice. There's an addendum for that. And there's a rent back. There's an addendum for that. And a lot of buyers are even just say, hey, you have 2 months to live there for free, and then we'll start charging rent if you haven't found anything. We still have a lot of buyers living with parents, living in basements, things like that, just to make sure everything works.
Now,
People are being
the lender
flexible.
in me wants to say something.
Go ahead.
For for pretty much all loan products, you have to make sure that the buyer takes hold of the property within 60 days. A 60-day rent back is a lot of times the longest that you can have documented in a contract. And they're strict about that. At one point, we had the rent back was 62 days because we counted it, and May had 31 days, and yada yada yada. There's all these different things, and we go, actually, this is 62 days. We have to bump it back 2 days before the underwriter would approve it. So, but yes, you're right.
Officially 60 days
right now. It's so common.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So that's good. Forbearance rates, May lull. Was there anything? Oh, the cash outs has been good. Anything else we want to cover to help people?
I just wanted to mention kind of the value of having a local lender with a pulse.
There you
go. Who can touch the listing agent and sellers in a variety of different fashions. So, we've made the phone calls for years. That's something that we've kind of made a habit out of, is call the listing agent or be open to a phone call from them. A lot of times you want to be a little bit more proactive, but talk to them and say, I've done XYZ on this file. Everything's good to go. We call it the warm and fuzzy, because a pre-approval letter obviously is the standard. That's the bare minimum for you to make an offer. But if they can talk to the loan officer, we can give them a calming effect to say, this file's good to go. It's going to close. It's going to close on time. That's a really valuable thing in this market. And you can speak on that as a listing agent. If you have somebody who is an out-of-town lender or a bank or something like that, and you can never get a hold of them, it's a huge problem. So let's do that ahead of time. Try to make sure that listing agent has a conversation with the lender up front.
Yep. They want to be, especially if the offers are so close. And there's going to be some that are like ties that are pretty much the same numbers. And in those circumstances, we do look to see who the buyer's agent is. Have we worked with them in the past? Are they very efficient and easy to work with? or are they a me person? Me, like, a little bit harder to deal with. I got one of those right now. Not fun. If I see her name on a contract again, it's my duty to inform my seller that she's kind of a pain in the ass. So you gotta be careful of those things, right? And the same with lenders. Like if it's a lender that's doing well, and I've worked with so and so many times, they've gotten them to the table. That makes a big difference, especially when those offers are so tight and close.
The human element of this business can make a transaction very, very enjoyable, but it can
Yep.
also make it miserable.
Yep.
So, we're here to help people, and we hope that the transaction will be better because Billy and Tim are a part of it.
Yep.
But you see that in the opposite spectrum as well. If you have somebody who is an absolute train wreck in terms of documentation and communication, then it's good to know that from Billy's perspective or the listing agent's perspective to have had that experience before. So it goes over and above price, closing date, closing help, yes or no. There are some intangibles that you should pay attention to as well.
Good news, man. That's good stuff. Sir, you hopefully get some remedies on the future here today. You're gonna sit back and do your work, but maybe sit back and relax in some tea this evening.
Yeah, I hope I feel better tonight because tomorrow the wife and I are supposed to get out and plant some vegetables in the garden, do some tomatoes and squash and zucchini and stuff. So I want to feel 100% for that because I'm excited. I've never planted a vegetable in my life. I'm going to try the green thumb thing.
You gotta talk to my wife. She's the green thumb. You've been here. You've seen the giant garden she's got.
Yeah,
that thing's huge.
Excited. Yeah, our other house wasn't really conducive for it. Didn't get a lot of sunshine. So
yeah, she's got a big setup. I'm actually right over there. So yeah, if she's got tips, give her a call. I think we're gonna go pick some strawberries this weekend. Swan Farm's got their strawberry picking. So
nice. I love it. Ice cream event this weekend, right?
Next, it's the 28th.
Oh, next weekend. Okay, sorry.
Ice cream event is coming up soon.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from now.
28th and 29th.
Gotcha.
There's advertising everywhere. Be on the lookout.
Marley Run and Cross Point.
The Cross Point may not work because I think the HOA is stepping in on that one, I believe.
Maybe they're lactose.
It's probably it. I guess they're just not a big fan of ice cream.
That's all right. Well,
there was a jelly bean requirement that we had to have sprinkles and jelly beans, and we just couldn't do it. So it's in the HOA docs, I believe. Page 4.
My wife tagged me in a Mrs. Moo's strawberry shortcake sundae or something, and I have to have it.
I've got to have it. All right, sir. As always, man, it's awesome, and I appreciate you coming out and helping other people. The buying market right now is a little more intense than usual, so all your sage advice is welcomed.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys, and we'll do this again in a month.
I'm in.
See ya.